In this video, we are going to be changing this chrome base level 4-cylinder Cadillac into a blacked out beast. With a bunch of performance, safety, as well as cosmetic modifications. Most of the cars on this channel are German made, whether it's at BMW, a Mini, or a Porsche. So when I heard that a good friend of mine had bought a Cadillac, I jumped at the opportunity to modify it with him. Unfortunately, with the bad drivers around here, his last car was written off. So in order to keep our investment safe, Viafo has reached out to sponsor this video with one of their dash cams. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, as it really helps us out. But most of all, enjoy the video. My name is Ethan, and welcome to Car Creation. Alright, so let's see what they included in the box. Polarizing filter right here. Next, hardwire kit, which basically will provide constant dash cam recording even when you're parked. And then finally, dash cam itself. Side of it has a little trim tool, which is very helpful. Thank you for that. And then if you just want to plug it into the 12-volt cigarette socket, you can use this long cable. They even sent their own micro SD card with micro SD to normal SD adapter. One of the first videos I did on the Car Creations YouTube channel was where I installed it in my Mini Cooper. What we did was routed the wire to the 12-volt plug, whereas in this video, we're actually going to route it right to where it's supposed to be on the fuse box. And because of that, they sent us out a special kit that will enable the car to be not only hardwired to that, but also to run while the car is in park or turned off. A lot of times when you install something that connects right to the battery, what will happen is that it will slowly suck on power until a couple hours later you can't start your car. But this wire that they sent has a little feature on it that you can actually adjust to the exact threshold you want the camera to turn off while still giving the battery enough juice to start your car. So now that we have an idea of what camera we're going to be installing to protect all the money that we're putting into this car, let's start off with one of the best mods that we're going to do on this car, and that is the shocks.
Alright guys, so we have the Eibach Lowering Springs Pro Kit for my 2013 ATS that we've been continuing the series on. What you get with this kit, new set of bump stops for the front and back obviously, because you'll be replacing the springs. You get a 1.2 inch drop in the front and then a 1 inch drop in the back with this kit. You'll be using your OEM struts with it, so take a look at the quality of those if you have a lot of miles on your car. Here on the driver's side, what I've done so far is remove our sway bar link, and I've removed the bolt on the rear tow arm here, and then the bottom shock mount and the control arm down here. So again, with that, I got my floor jack up here. If you're doing this in your driveway, you're probably gonna need a second floor jack, or just put your car on jack stands. You're not gonna be able to hold that by hand, and you gotta put some kind of pressure on it or it'll just shoot down.
So now, like 1,600 bolts later, all the bolts off down there now, because we couldn't take any shortcuts by only taking a few off. We had to take this whole thing apart. All right, spring compressor.
These things are real frustrating to use. I now have the spring compressor on here, and I'm working that down until I have enough space. What I found was helpful is there's a slot in the lower control arm that you can put a pry bar in and then bend it down to be able to fit your spring out.
Well, there we go.
The spring compressor was stuck.
Nice.
Yo!
Nice, let's go.
All right. Here's a good shot of the drop. You can tell it's a lowering kit, so this spring is going to be a lot shorter. We're keeping this part, so be careful with it.
All right, so we got the spring on the shock mount here, and it was a lot of work.
It's a lot more difficult to compress than the old spring, obviously, so kind of getting it even and on here is difficult, and obviously you can't have it at the very top because you got to have the new mount, the spring mount on that, and you can't do it right on the bottom because you got to have the spring mount down here. So it's a little complicated. Yeah, let's get this assembly back in there.
All right, so with the shocks all upgraded and tested, our next modification is going to be the exhaust. So if we come over here, Simon has before us this Borla exhaust.
Behold.
Yes, behold.
So what we have here is a Borla S-type axleback exhaust for this vehicle.
It sounds kind of sad. What we went for is an axleback Borla exhaust, which hopefully can transform Simon's vacuum cleaner sounding exhaust note into a beautiful lower tone with lots of burbles.
You're gonna need to cut it. So I recommend getting something like this. A Sawzall works, other things work, but this just does it a little cleaner. And this was $29 at Harbor Freight, so I would recommend you pick it up. Unboxing here, I'll say this, Borla, you do not skimp on packaging. Clamps, make sure you hang on to those. The instructions are obviously optional. And then there are two main sections to this. You have obviously the left side as labeled here, and then we have the right side. First looks, if you can see this right here, it's a boat anchor, okay? It shouldn't take much thinking to realize why we want to get rid of that. We're gonna be cutting it somewhere around here. Measure twice, cut once. Make sure you're careful of that. First exhaust thing that you should be doing, lift the car up, spray your hangers. This rubber right here is, there's 55,000 miles on the car, and this is gonna be stiff, dirty, and gross. In the instructions, which were helpfully included on here, they say to measure and cut a line 7 inches from the rear muffler. That looks like it will be a little bit more pipe than we need, but I would always rather have more there so we can make a second cut. Put it around where you want, line it up, and then you will just give it light pressure on the handles and work it back and forth. And you'll see your cut lines start to form. So at this point, we've cut both sides loose. You can see that here, 2 hangers that are gonna pop out from the sides here. So we're going to try to pull it off like that. This is where it's handy to have someone holding the exhaust, because if it falls on you after wrestling this rubber. So at this point, I'm gonna have my friend here help me, and we're just gonna slide it straight back. Watch the sharp metal on the pipe, because that will hurt as well. We have our stock boat anchor out.
Can I throw it?
I would rather not. I was going to list it on Facebook. Then we have our exhaust. Now these are labeled right and left, and that's going to be from sitting in the driver's seat, your right side and your left side. So we're best sliding into the hanger on this side. Slide it on the pipe over here. At this point, before you tighten the clamp, you want to make sure that you have the exhaust tip where you want it.
That looks sick.
All right. Obviously, it can be loosened and adjusted. I'm sure there's some fancy torque spec from the instructions, but we go with 2 Ugga Duggas. All right, baby. First start up with my new Borla exhaust.
Let's go. So we got the exhaust installed. It sounds epic. It was a huge change from before, where it sounded kind of like a vacuum cleaner, as I said, to now it sounds much more full and sounds really good. So after we got the exhaust done up, we decided to go out for a little spin to test it out, literally. Unfortunately, Simon here got a little bit carried away with his spins, and we may have lost a little bit of coolant.
Fluid is water away. Watch out, watch out.
But we filled it back up, and the car is back on the road, and there was no issues.
All right, so now that I have put this quantity of money into this car, I'd like to protect the investment, and that's where this camera comes in. So we slot our little micro SD card in here. Now, you want to pick a good place on your windshield where it's going to be able to see the most amount of stuff. So typically around the middle is going to be good. In my case, I have this little device here already, so it's going to be slightly off center, as I've decided on right about there. Make sure the Type-C outlet is still available to plug in. This would be a good time to grab your cord and just make sure that it'll still fit in there and behind, and then think about where you want to run that cord, because the whole point of hardwiring it is to make it look clean and nice and not have to see wires. And make sure we have that at the desired angle, and then I'll run my wire through the A-pillar here and then along the edge of the headliner. Included cord, this is just a standard Type-C cord with a car outlet. See the microphone
Recording
light?
started.
We can hear that it's recording over the obnoxious dinging of the car. For this hardwire kit, we have 3 wires. The first wire is going to be your ground strap. It's labeled. Ground is almost always going to be black. What you want to do with something like this is try to find bare metal. Almost all bare metal in your car is going to be grounded. You can see I already have one right here. You're just going to loosen that screw, slide this under, and tighten it down, and then that will be grounded. This is going to be 12-volt ignition, so that means this is being supplied with 12 volts of battery power, but only when the ignition comes on. Little sensor that they have included here, it can only work if you wire it right. So make sure that that is 12 volt ignition. And then this is going to be your standard battery positive 12 volt. This is just anything that has 12 volt power 24/7. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our voltage meter, test some of these fuses, and we're going to find out which 2 fuses will work best, and then we'll have a dash cam.
Shrink wrap tube on top of the solder tube. All right, so we just got all the wiring done up, and it's looking all nice and snazzy. Now we're just checking to see what setting we need to turn this on to.
I just have a little 4-cylinder, so it doesn't really take that much power to start. If you have like some hog V8 in there, you're gonna wanna have it a little higher because you need more power to turn the engine over. All the wiring right there is done. Now's a good time before you tuck your wire away and then find out that it doesn't work, and double check that it works.
So now, basically it will stay on and until the battery runs below the threshold that we set, and then it will turn off. So if you go into a store, you park in the parking spot for a couple hours, it'll stay recording. So if you cut someone off early on the road, and they come key your car, you can see that.
This part is the fun part, which is hiding your wire. So I'm tucking mine along the edge of my headliner. That might work for some people. It might not. Other people might have to lower the headliner a little bit. Headliner is something you want to be careful with, because if I tore this little corner right here, the whole thing has to come out and be replaced if I want that to be fixed.
Also on top of that, some cars happen to have current airbags.
Now that has been made all nice and neat in here. It's pretty flush. Make sure everything looks good. This cover should fit back on. And we are all set.
All right, so we took it on the road and the footage looks pretty good. There's a polarizing filter that we can put on if we're getting too much of the glare in the footage. So we might take a look at that later. And at nighttime, it also looks really good. It's a lot brighter than I would have thought, and you don't get total glare with other people's oncoming headlights, which is super nice. If you want to get one of these dash cams for yourself, make sure that you click the links down below, as we'll have links to the dash camera as well as Viafo's other products down there, and we'll try to get you some sort of a discount there as well. So while I was getting all the dash cam ready to get installed, Simon over here might have done something without the camera. The way that caddies are from factory have chrome everywhere. You can't find a spot on the car that doesn't have chrome. So basically what we did was start with black vinyl wrap around the edges here. Then we put on some cheap plastic.
Whoa, we don't say cheap.
Then we put on some premium black plastic covers that go on the handles, which does look pretty good. I was impressed with that. And then we tinted out the rear lights back here. We made sure that we went and put a black emblem on the back. And then most of all, the best part for the rear of the car was putting on this black spoiler. Don't mind all the leaves. And then finally coming around to the front, we have one of the crowning features of this car, black front grille, as well as the front lip right here. If you really like the dash camera that we installed today, perhaps it could be the next dash cam to protect your car. All right, so that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. We got a lot of mods on there, and this car sounds and looks amazing.
It's a lot better than it was before. Definitely worth the investment if you enjoy cars. Put a little bit of money into it, put some time with it. You might make new friends. It's very fun.
So if you haven't yet, please make sure you like and subscribe. Let us know what you think of this video. It's a little bit different than what we've done before, but this dash cam, the way we've installed it, will work for pretty much any model or make of car out there. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you all in the next one.